right, welcome into another Lorcana match here. So we're back at the CCQ Bologna, and we're watching DKP play again. He took over the main stage a lot, so we're in the top 8 here against him and Matteo. So let's dive into this game. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate a subscription to the channel as we go into Winter Spell and as we go into this like really large CCQ schedule that's coming up, like end of January, going into February and March. Like there are a ton of events coming up. And we're going to cover all of them on this channel, whether they're in Europe or in North America. So really excited about all that. So subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all of those and the new meta that pops up with this new set, which I think is going to be coming. So it's really, really exciting stuff. But without further ado, let's dive into this game. So in this game, nothing crazy has happened so far. We've seen the Daisy Duck come out of Matteo, and DKP goes into his Rafiki. And what we don't know about this tournament and where we are currently right now is like where or like does DKP know what Matteo is playing, right? Because I think that really matters here. So if he knows that he's playing this like Amber Steel aggro deck, then him like hard mulliganing for like the Rafiki and stuff like that's really important. So he goes into a sail and inks a sail with the sail. And plays another Rafiki. And we saw in his hand that he has a one cost Basil as well. So that makes me think that he knew what Mateo's playing here. And like, I don't know if y'all have ever been to like a large event like a DLC, you'll know that like once you get to like these top tables, even if the deck lists aren't open, you know what your opponents are playing, right? Like especially players that have teammates or friends that are there, like it's pretty easy to go figure out like, hey, the bracket's gonna have Matteo and another person playing to go against me next round. So maybe we should figure out what they're playing so I know what to prepare for next round. So I'd say DKP has a pretty good idea of what Matteo was playing coming into this and was able to mulligan into 3 1-drops in his opening hand as Blurple and have the ramp, which is so good, right? Especially whenever it's sail. So like now at this point, like he's able to like take out the Daisy Duck and the Lilo with his 2 Rafikis, which is just really good for the Blurple player to be able to like steady up this aggro matchup, which has always been a tough matchup for the Blurple player. So yeah, let's see what Matteo does, and he inked that Mickey Mouse, which that Mickey Mouse is honestly just a menace. Like it's just like gives your Amber characters extra health, which just like makes it so it's borderline impossible to take out. So he does play the oh my gosh. He plays the Mowgli, and there was 2 Into the Unknowns in DKP's hand, so obviously he grabs one of those out. So that's good value off of that. And you saw, I mean, and like the good thing about that Mowgli is like, you know, for DKP at least that he gets to pick which action he discards or items, so on and so forth there. But for Matteo, he knows what's in DKP's hand, so it still has that Ursula effect where you get to know what your opponent has in his hand, which is very nice. So for Matteo, he's played 2 for that Mowgli. DKP's like, hey, bro, you need to exert that ink. Yeah, now Mateo's kind of in the blender here. Pretty interesting that he's already kind of upset at this point. I wonder if he like regrets inking something potentially. He is gonna fire the cannons at one of those Rafikis, which is super nice. Because now that Daisy Duck would live if he quested with it, which he decides not to. And maybe the decision not to quest is because of the Into the Unknown existing in his hand, maybe. Anyway, so DKP goes, he inks the Basil and plays Rafiki, Cheshire Cat. We know the one card left in his hand is that Into the Unknown that he can now sing with the Cheshire Cat, which is really good value. And yeah, next turn, like he obviously is low on ink, but he's low on cards, but you know, can still boost the Cheshire Cat with his ink. Like there's still a lot of stuff that he can do with his ink. And let's see what Matteo was about to put down two characters there. is deciding to think about it a bit more. And yeah, it's interesting strategy here for like Matteo to like not go ahead and quest with that Daisy and Lilo at any point in this game so far. Um, I am far from a aggro um, expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that's what kind of can make these decks very very good or or very very bad is when you decide to quest and when you decide to take things sideways, because that's when the other player has the ability to turn the game back in their favor. Okay, so we see the Penny and the Daisy Duck come down. Penny obviously doesn't get any value on her ability, and we see a pass back from Matteo to DKP. I mean, the good thing for him is he knows that DKP doesn't have the Elsa to exert anything right now. I mean, unless he top decks it. So, wow, he top decks it. He top decks it. So, yeah, that's pretty good. So he will get to exert something. We see that Daisy Duck got resist from the Penny. See, I'm not sure what, like, maybe the Lilo, like, I don't know, but if you exert the Lilo, that gives Matteo the opportunity to play it from his discard next turn. Yeah, so he's going to exert the Penny so he can take it out with the Elsa. And then probably just pass it over, right? Like, this game's really on Matteo to have to quest out. Okay, go ahead and quest with the Cheshire Cat because he would have to swing almost every single character on his board into it to take it out. We see double Raja in in Mateo's hand, which, like, obviously Raja, good character, good card, but it's like a turn too late. If Raja could have came down last turn, that would have been much better. Obviously hindsight's 2020, right? Because he knew that he had the End of the Unknown. So if he plays the Raja with Bodyguard and Into the Unknown can just take it out, that's pretty tough. That's not what you're looking for there. So I mean, I think he made the right decision based on the knowledge that he had. But yeah, this game is just very very awkward now for Matteo because if he plays down the Raja with Bodyguard, like, obviously one Rafiki Cheshire Cat boost would be able to take it out, and then we still have one Rafiki on the board to do work. All right, so we will see the Raja come down, and it's, listen, at the 3/4 body, like that does do some damage. And then now we're gonna quest out. So we're gonna quest for what, 2, 4, 6, 7. I didn't see the first card that DKP drew, but I saw that he drew a Cheshire Cat after that. So let's see what. So yeah, the Cheshire. Well, okay. Let's see what DKP does here, right? A lot of options for the clear, but I think the obvious one is Rafiki into the Raja, boost the Cheshire Cat to take out Raja there. However, he could go Rafiki Elsa into the Raja and then boost the Elsa to take out the Lilo, which I think is also pretty good. Yeah, and that's what he's going to do, I think. Oh no, DKP's throwing cards. Or he could just, yeah, I mean, he could just do that and take out the, yeah. This is the best play. Yeah, I definitely missed that. This is definitely the best play here because now nothing on his board is going to be banished. So he can take out 2 more characters if he wants to, the Lilo and the Mowgli, or he can go for a single or Daisy Duck if he wants to. But I think keeping the Daisy Ducks alive. Yeah, so keeping the Daisy Ducks alive is okay for him because he just gets to continue to draw more characters, which the majority of his deck is. And he'll swing the Cheshire Cat into the Daisy Duck. He gets to play another Cheshire Cat that he can also, I think he has enough to boost it, right? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have enough to boost it this turn. And pass it back over to Matteo. And Matteo is in a tough spot this game. Tough spot for sure. And I mean, DKP obviously drew exactly what he needed to draw there. Because, like, as Blurple, like, obviously in any blue deck or any Sapphire deck, you're ramping, which means like your early game is a bit slower, so you can ramp up, right? And it's like him being able to ramp into a double Rafiki there, pretty much stopped that from being an issue, right? Like that basically just made it so like he wasn't really slow. Like double Rafiki's so good early game against an aggro deck because like that three attack is just so good. So we see the Cheshire Cat go into the Daisy Duck, and now he can like double boost. He can boost on the one Cheshire Cat, boost on the other one, and take out the Daisy Duck. And now Matteo will be sitting on a single Raja on his board, which is not what he's looking for against this massive board from DKP. All right, so DKP passes back over. Matteo has 3 ink to play with here, but he does have cool Final Fantasy Magic sleeves, and I think that's really important. He has the Fire the Cannons into a hamster there, and he'll pass it back over to DKP. And DKP, I mean, he doesn't have any big questions on the board, right? But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can go to 10 next turn. And I mean, the problem for this is that Matteo has no way to hit this Elsa, the evasive Elsa. Like, he doesn't really have any way to take out almost anything else that is on the board for DKP. I mean, obviously he can swing. He can take some stuff out, but like not enough to like catch up into the game. And like if any 1-for-1 trade for Matteo is so bad, and now DKP can double boost again and take out the hamster there. It feels so bad. And now a quest out to go to 10, and we see Matteo scoop it up, and DKP takes game 1. And just like I said, like knowing what he's playing against, that's a great mulligan there by him, and that's the power of the Lorcana mulligan, is that he's just able to get exactly what he needs in this matchup, and at that point he just plays the match well and takes away from Matteo. So we'll let both players shuffle up their decks here, and then we will dive into game 2 whenever they're ready. All right, so both players have mulliganed and are ready to go here. Matteo will start off on the play this time and get down with a Daisy Duck. We'll see DKP ink the Iago and then play a Rafiki. And we see another pretty good hand for DKP there. We see the ramp into another Basil next turn. We see the Cheshire Cat. And those are all the tools that you need to win this matchup. Matteo does have a Tiana this game. And Tiana is, obviously really big character in this matchup. Matteo going, he quests with the Daisy Duck. DKP draws a Dumbo with that. And let's see what he follows it up. Let's see what he follows us up with. I think I saw Fire the Cannons in his hand there, and so the Fire the Cannons could get rid of that Rafiki, which would slow down any sort of progress that DKP can make on clearing his board. However, it would slow down Mateo's ability to grow his board, right? A good play here would be Fire the Cannons into like another Daisy Duck. Okay, into the Aurora. Okay, that's pretty good. So now next turn he can definitely get down. Like, he was going to be able to get the Tiana down anyway, but he can get it down for cheaper next turn, which is good. We see the sail come down for DKP. We're going to ink that Dumbo that we got off of the Daisy Duck into that Basil as expected. And now he'll pass it back over to Matteo. And now at this point, DKP is not going to be able to clear off. Wow, I think I saw Hypnotic Strength in his hand as well. The Hypnotic Strength would allow him to take that Basil into the Daisy Duck next turn and take it out, which is just absolutely nuts if that's what ends up happening. I don't think that's what's going to happen because he has. I mean, the lore pressure isn't high enough yet that he needs to worry about that, but it definitely could. So let's see, because like also, if he comes down with the Tiana here, like that becomes that's pretty good. It's a turn late, unfortunately, but there isn't anything in DKP's hand to get rid of that Tiana until Hades, and that's tough because he's pretty far away from that, right? And so we'll see what Matteo decides to do here. But yeah, big turn here. Especially aggro, like setting us up early is really important. Hmm. Huh. I wonder what he just asked DKP. DKP answered with two. Definitely not cards in hands, but huh. Okay, so Mateo. Okay, that's a strength. Interesting. All right, so strength gets inked into that Tiana. We quest with Daisy and the Aurora. Daisy trigger is going to hit an Elsa. Pretty good. Pretty good draw. And now DKP, it's DKP's turn here. And we'll see if that Hypnotic Strength comes down onto the Daisy Duck. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, I'd like to know what's in Mateo's hand, but it's interesting that he didn't use the Aurora to make that Tiana one cheaper there. I mean, if he didn't have a one cost to play, then it doesn't really matter, but... And yeah, I mean, okay, so we're going to develop. Let me see a Tipo and a Genie. Yeah, so he's going to keep the Tipo, and I imagine the thought for keeping that Tipo is that so he can ramp up here to get to that Hades quicker, maybe. But it could just be that that's just easy ink. So we'll see what he decides to do here. Because if he inked this turn, I put him to 4. Tipo ink would get him to 5. So that'd put him 2 turns away from now from getting rid of that Tiana, which is just going to continue to cause havoc for him until he can get rid of it. Because if he does not use that Hypnotic Strength this turn onto the Basil, like there's no way that he's going to be able to get rid of that Daisy Duck until the Hades comes down. So let's see what DKP does with that Tipo now. Because Tipo coming down also gives you the ability to boot or to support it with the Basil later on as well. If he doesn't decide to get rid of the Basil this turn by swinging again to an Aurora, something like that. So yeah, definitely a tough turn here for DKP. And like I said, that Tiana coming down just really complicates things, right? It's kind of like an Emerald Comic Con coming down for a Dogs player, where it's like the game completely changes when that card comes down, and everything, all your plans from before and all your thoughts from before are now going to have to be different because of that one card. Which is why it's such. I mean, obviously, it hasn't been as good of a card this set, just because of like the green blue Renaissance, but um, but it's still, I mean, it's still a good card, right? Like still good value. Still can do a lot of good things if you can't take it out. So yeah, he's still thinking here. Okay, so we're gonna ink the Hades. And let's see what ends up falling up here. This has been a long turn here for DKP, for sure. Like, definitely a long turn. Yeah, he's still thinking about it. Still a lot of a lot to think about here. And this is, I think this is a good picture of why DKP is like such a strong player. Is that this turn 4 or this turn 3 play for him, isn't a turn that most of us would take too much time on. Like it's, you would just play Dumbo. Like right, you would just do something simple like that. But he's really in the lab up there in his head, like really thinking about what's going on here and like what the best play is. And then that again, Matteo made him do that by playing that Tiana, right? That Tiana existing really makes him have to chew on this decision more. So we see the hypnotic strength come down onto the Basil, and we'll see the Basil swing into that Daisy Duck there, which I think is a really good play. And wow, okay, we have the Rafiki come down as well. Okay, so that was again, I think a good turn there for DKP. And now for Matteo, the Tiana is going to wreak havoc until DKP gets up to the Hades, unless he has Into the Unknown. I think he inked Into the Unknown earlier, so like he's definitely one short at this point in the game. All right, so he exerts 3. Now the Raja here would be really good if that's what ends up coming down. Because he knows an Elsa is in DKP's hand from the Daisy Duck. So a Raja would block that from block that from being able to take out anything. Okay, we see a Pete come down, quest that with Tiana and an Aurora. And the reason why that's so good there is that like if he did have Into the Unknown, now that Tiana can't be targeted, right? Like he cannot play the Into the Unknown this turn. So like that's what he's thinking there, is stopping that from happening. We see a Tipo come down, so we're going to see the ramp up here. And so, DKP will be able to ramp up to 6 this turn with Tipo and inking for his turn. And so that means next turn we will see the Hades come down onto the Tiana. So, and that's like a pretty, that's a pretty choreographed play here for DKP. Like Matteo should know exactly what's coming next turn. The problem for Matteo is that there's not really much he can do to stop it at this point. He wasn't able to get enough lore pressure early. So now he's sitting on, 8. He can quest up to 12 this turn. But DKP is going to be able to basically clear board next turn. All right, we see the Raja come down. And then we're going to quest out for those 4, like I mentioned, up to 12. And this is a great play if Into the Unknown and Hades doesn't exist, right? Like, if both of those cards were not cards that existed in the game or in DKP's hands, then Raja becomes unkillable, right? But he actually has Into the Unknown and Hades in his hand. So he has both. So he might even play both this turn. Like he could Hades. He probably doesn't want to ink that Elsa, right? But I think he probably sings Into the Unknown with the Cheshire Cat onto the Raja or onto the Tiana. Or he might ink the Into the Unknown. Huh. He definitely could ink it. And then play the Hades onto the Tiana, and then we're kind of off to the races here. But I think I like, because if you play in like, okay, so he is going to ink it. We are going to go Hades into the Tiana, as expected, and then are we going to see? Yeah, we're going to see those 2 trade into the Raja, and then Cheshire Cat into the Pete, And now we're down to 1 card for Matteo. He is at 12, which is nice, but DKP's last card is also an Elsa, which kind of stops any sort of momentum that could come here this turn. He's definitely not out of the game, but he is missing those Lilos. See the Raja come down. Oh, we see a Doc. Doc's good. So Matteo needed that Doc to like make sure that he could continue to draw out. I think DKP just drew into a guidebook. Yes, the guidebook. He's going to pop the guidebook, draw 2 more cards. So we know he has Elsa, Dumbo, and Genie. So he has the full evasive suite in his hand right now, which is pretty good. Pretty good. He's happy about that. Okay, so he inks the Dumbo, plays the Elsa, is going to exert the Raja, and then is going to take out the Raja with the Hades and the Elsa there. And we'll pass it back over to Matteo with that 1 Genie in his hands. And see what Matteo can do here. Okay, he's got a 3 exert again. So what is he going to put down? Okay, he's got the Lady into the Lilo. Okay, so we finally see the Lilo play and to a Daisy Duck. Okay, this is the turn that Matteo needed here. So now he's representing 6 on the board. Unfortunately, that's 1 away from lethal. But he's got 6 on the board, which can get him to 19 next turn, assuming the Doc goes down, right? Oh, another Hades. Another Hades. Wow, that's tough. That's a tough top deck to deal with there. The Hades, I would assume the Hades will probably target the Lilo because the Lilo being able to bounce back from the discard is going to be a problem. Yeah, there it is. We're going to see Hades take out the Doc, or the Hades and the Elsa take out the Doc. And now, unfortunately for Matteo, he's top decking. But he did top deck that Mickey Mouse, which is pretty good. Pretty good play. So, yeah, I mean, okay. Oh, my God. He just drew into another Hades. Wow. That's tough. I mean, I think DKP probably loses this game unless he top decks that Hades, but that feels awful. And so now we'll see that clean up. And then the Hades will clean up the Lady there. That's a tough one in the stomach for Matteo. Like, he definitely played this game. He played to his outs. He played to get to a point where he could win the game. And the game's not over yet, right? I mean, DKP can quest out for 2, 4, 6, 7 this turn to get to 8. So yeah, the game's definitely not over, but he's gonna have to have an answer to whatever. He's gonna have to have an answer to whatever Matteo plays next. I didn't catch what card he had there, but yeah, he's gonna have to have an answer to like be able to exert or Hades the next character that Matteo draws here. So DKP would be at 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18 next turn. So he can't win, which is good for Matteo. So he has 2 turns here. So unfortunately for him, that Hades on that Lilo really. All right. What did he draw into here? He gave the deck a little knock for good luck, which I appreciated. Oh, okay, so he drew into a penny. So that's going to... and he's going to quest the Lilo to get to 19. So, again, he's played to his outs here. We see it into the unknown in DKP's hands. Okay, Hypnotic Strength. I think he just drew into an Elsa. I think that's what he just drew into. Wow. He did top deck it. That's crazy. That's craziness. Yeah, what a crazy series there. I mean, Matteo played really well in game 2 and like played it to his outs there. But sometimes the other player just has it, and DKP just kept having it there. That's a frustrating one for Matteo. He's definitely going to walk away from that series a little frustrated because, I mean, what can you do about the situation? Not much. So anyways, if you stuck around this long, appreciate you watching the video. Appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment for what you're excited for Winter Spell coming up, or if you're going to an upcoming DLC or CCQ, let me know that as well. But yeah, we'll see you on the next one.